This is Intake, the show where we smash beers and sink gears. Or is it the other way around? Anyway, this is the Yakuza Cruiser, and we're going to do the first thing that you did in Need for Speed Underground back in the day, and that is get low.
Why does this always happen to me?
In today's episode of our VIP Bippu build, we are going to lower the car to give it that VIP Bippu styling. We're doing that with these Tein Coilovers, and that is going to be a 4-beer job, 1 beer per corner. Now, before we begin, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell so you get notified of when we release new videos, as releasing videos is what we do best. When we do it and not like leave a year in between. We're making videos. We're not here to fuck spiders, let's get into it. We're going to start by lowering the back, and so we're going to need some access to that booty. Let's hope there's no junk in this trunk. All right, so what we're going to do is take all the shit out the back, get rid of this shit, take our carpet out just to make things a bit easier. And there's our first hurdle. We've got 2 10mm nuts. I know that Toyota didn't include self-tapping screws as part of their build, so that's clearly from someone else's modifications. There you go, that comes out as well. And just like that, there we go. So now we have access to the top of the suspension, and we'll see that there are wires in here that go to nowhere. We'll forget those for the time being. So we need to undo these, undo whatever's underneath, put in the new suspension, sack the arse, and good times. This is why the Yakuza love these cars. You can fit a whole body in the boot. Doing coilovers is a little bit like foreplay. Start at the top. Once you've got things nice and loose up here, you work your way down to the bottom for the pleasure area. That's where the fun really begins. All right, so continuing our theme of working downwards. Got 2 little bolts there. And then we get down to the bottom, we've got to remove 1 there. Clearly, I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh, fuck yeah. I feel like I'm not really having success here, but I just know that I am. See? Perfect. This is so easy. Anyone can do this job. Bit of a quick tip. Use something behind a washer to pry it out. Makes life a bit easier. Oh, my arse hurts. I'll tell you what, they weren't skimping on bolts when they designed this car. They just got the longest bloody ones that they could get. Like, this is the time consuming of this job. It's not part of this job. It's not really difficult to put these in. It's just trying to get the bolts out. Nearly there. A rattle gun. A rattle gun would make this really quickly. Like, real easy, nice and quick, just bzz. Yes, and I almost spilt my beer, but didn't, psych. Okay, just quickly undo the sway bar link, and that'll let us drop this lower control arm a little bit more to get this strut out. Give it a bit of a love tap. No. And after what seems like an eternity, but was in actuality, word of the day, a quick 5-minute job, this old strut's ready to come out. Now how? Reef down. Get stuck a little bit, then you sort of massage it. You get your thing out the hole and, oh, don't want to roll the guards just at the moment. Bit of a love tap. Get that back under in there. Try and wiggle it free a bit. Get a bit of dirt in my eyes. Whoa, where'd that come from? All right, hang on. So if I go down, I get stuck. If I go up, I get stuck in a different location. Ow. Now, out. There we go. And you can fuck that right off. Well, I won't throw that onto the other coilover. You can fuck it off nicely. And then you can get your new one and unfuck it right off. Installation, always reverse of removal. With just as much struggle, apparently. That goes there, that goes there. Easy peasy. Get a couple of bolts to hold it all in place, drop them on the ground. Now we don't want to do these up too tight, just firm, just to hold it in place while we do everything else up. And then start at the bottom, work your way back up. And now with the help of the jack, we've lifted the lower control arm, got the last camber bolt in, and now we're ready to stick on a washer and give it a rough alignment for where our camber's going to be. And that's all the way into negative. So now that the nut's just about done up, you gotta set your camber. Now we're gonna go all the way in, so we'll fit our big wheels in the guards, hopefully. Otherwise we'll do plan B. And I don't know what plan B is yet. So, what we're gonna do is just slowly do this up. Just so it's tight, but not like super tight. That's the nut side. We don't want to do that up. You don't want your nuts really tight at this stage. Then we're going to use the bolt head end and do that up to rotate the nut and plate the other way, and you should see this tilty, doing tilty wheels. And now that you've set your camber, it's time to get your nuts tighter than John Travolta's in his pants in Saturday Night Fever. Or than that lead singer from Panic at the Disco. Or nearly anyone in the early 2000s. Now you just got to tighten everything else up. Now that we've just done up the last bolt, should be about finish your first beer, and you'll get onto the second side. So we're going to go ahead and do that off camera, throw the wheels on, chuck the arse down, see where we go, and we'll be back at that. Oh, there goes my knees. If you can, just get a little stool or something to sit on, especially if you're aging. Fuck. So now we've got both rear wheels on. We've got both new Tein Coilovers in. We're ready to lower it down. Now we've got this set at whatever they came in. Someone's used them before. I reckon this guy who had these coilovers knows a hell of a lot more about ride heights in Toyotas than I do, because I knew nothing. So let's lower it down, see what we do. It's gonna totally foul on the guards. Or it'll just sit there and do nothing. I didn't think that was going to go down. And I was like, oh shit, we've got to wind these suckers down. Actually, that's really good. That's not bad. Like now, if I was 18 years old and this was my first car, I'd totally chop the rear springs, leave the front like that. Looks like you're going fast all the time. That's, that needs to go lower. Now that the rear is lower than a drug addict's self-worth after trying to get their next hit, it's time to move on to the front. So we've got a good pile of tools, our beer, our safety mechanism, our new coilover and our jack ready to go. Once you've loosened the wheel nuts, start to jack the car up. This is the only time I've really put in the hard work on my knees. All right, put your stand under and then take the wheels off. If anyone wants to send me a rattle gun, we'd make this episode a little bit shorter. And future episodes. If you're keen to see any future episodes, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, so you get alerted to when we're uploading and releasing new videos. Because YouTube doesn't really like to tell you, because I say shit. If you don't have a plastic trim remover tool, you can use a screwdriver, but this just stops things getting all damaged. Remove these little condoms from the top. Boop. Boop. Just a little protection for your nuts. Same as the rear, start from the top, work your way down to the bottom. Now that we're underneath the car, we've got 1, 2, maybe 3 bolts, nuts to remove, and then we should just be able to ease the old strut out, ease the new one in, and then we can move on to the other side. Shouldn't take more than a couple of minutes. All right, so we just want to break the nut for the wishbone. Hot tip for the day, don't take this all the way off, because if you've got to hit this with a hammer, you'll damage all the threads, and you'd rather damage this nut and still be able to do it back on than damage the threads and then have to replace the whole wishbone part. Don't say I didn't teach you anything. Another thing to be really careful of in any car is all your ABS lines and sensors. Because if you are a bit rough with those, and I know how some of you like to be a little bit rough with delicate things, you'll get some warning lights on the dash. To get the lower bolt of the old strut out, you're going to have to remove the link in the sway bar. So there's a nut and a bolt for that. Nice and easy. Now that we've removed the lower bolt for the suspension, we're ready to remove the suspension, but we can't unless we break this ball joint there. And I don't have a ball joint remover breaker dover. So we've got the nut on the bottom so we can belt it with a hammer. And I've also got a makeshift one here, which is 2 screwdrivers. We'll pry those in there. Open it up a bit and use 2 bigger screwdrivers. Basically does the same thing on the cheap. Nice and easy. And now we could remove the strut. And now we can remove the strut. Now we can remove the strut. Okay, just needs a bit of gentle persuasion. And just like that, we've removed the strut. Ugh. And we can put this one back in. Now this is where the job becomes a bit hard if your name's Scott. It's got no mates. So you need to have somebody, a mate, to push the strut up while you're at the top putting the nuts on. Now lucky for me, I do have a friend in the garage to give me a hand. You ready down there, mate? Yeah, bro, what do you need? All right, push up on the strut. All right, pushing up. Is that enough? Yeah, bro, that's good. You all good up there, man? Do you still need me? No, dude. On you go. And as always, just ensure your nuts are torqued to spec. About there. Now we all know this part of the job. Installation is reverse of removal. Alright, so that's the strut bolted in top and bottom, so we've only got to do the ABS line. Tighten that up, put the pin in. Oh, and that sway bar link. Now I've got to do everything up tight. Now again, these are second hand. We haven't set the base height. We've just left it at whatever the last guy had it at. I'm quite sure that he knows more about Toyota ride heights than I do. But if you're wondering where I get second-hand parts from, eBay, Buy, which goes through Yahoo Auctions Japan. You get a hell of a lot of Japanese parts for cheap there. And if you want to know more about cheap second-hand parts from Japan, watch our Subaru Outback series, Operation Sportswagon, where we bought and modified a Subaru Outback for under $1,700, including Tein Coilovers, WRX brakes, seats, an exhaust system, cold air intake, and a bunch of other stuff. Great car until it blew the head gasket. But, you know, that's Subaru for you. But there's a link there. Just do up the last nut and bolt on the sway bar link, and when we're ready to put the wheel on and get to the other side. Well, that should be everything nice and tight. We'll throw the wheel on and get round to the other side. I love these lightweight sports wheels. Burp. Burp. It's a rattle gun noise. Now that the wheel's back on, put the condoms back on your nuts. And the other side's lather, rinse and repeat. Now that the second side's done, close the bonnet, drop the car, and just like that, we've lowered our car. So that's the end of another episode of Intake. Join us next time when we continue to VIP this ride, or Bippu as the Japanese call it. Don't forget that we want you to help design the interior of this car. We need your feedback of the colour scheme, the amount of neons or LEDs, underglow if we're going to do the exterior as well, other accessories, shift knobs, do we need diamantes or leather, wood grain, I don't know. You tell us. We're just doing the outside without you guys. We're going to leave it to you guys, the viewers, to pick what we do with the inside of the car. But before we go, we've got to do the ultimate infitment test. The old can. No problem. Don't forget to get in alignment before you get to the drive. Did it settle at all? It didn't rub. I'm actually disappointed it didn't rub, but it just means we can go lower. Ooh, it's a little bit condensation-y. It's a 265 tyre on the rear, 10.5 inch rear wheel with a +15 offset. That shouldn't fit. We've done well.